Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Hello and welcome to The Money Factor. I'm Richard Naylor, your host. Today's topic is student financial aid. And we have three guests who are very well qualified to help us out through the maze of financing college. Elsa Magee is Executive Vice President and Acting President of HESC. We'll explain what that is shortly. And we have two financial aid administrators, Diane Corbett from UAlbany and Mary Lawyer from Siena. I want to welcome you all here.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for helping us out and spread the information about financial aid.
Happy to have the opportunity.
Yes, great. Let's start out by getting a little background on each of you and your institution. Not greatly detailed, but we need a little context.
Sure. I'm Mary Lawyer. I am the Associate Vice President for Financial Enrollment Management at Siena College. Siena is located in Loudonville, New York, just a few miles from where we are, right outside of Albany. We are 3,000 undergraduate students, and we are a private Catholic and Franciscan institution.
Very good. Diane.
Yes, I am the Director of Financial Aid at the University at Albany. UAlbany is an internationally recognized research university located right here in the Capital District. We offer a top quality education for a great value. We have renowned programs in nanotechnology, in public policy, criminal justice, among many others. We participate in federal and state financial aid programs. We also administer institutional financial aid for those qualified applicants, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Beautiful. And Elsa.
Yes, thank you. My name is Elsa Magee. As you said, I'm Executive Vice President and Acting President at the Higher Education Services Corporation. We are a New York State agency. We administer the state's financial aid programs, and our mission is to help people pay for college.
Wonderful. I took advantage of everything I could when I was going to college the first time, so I'm very appreciative of what you guys do. Mm-hmm. Let's start because I heard that Financial Awareness Month, is it Financial Aid Awareness Month?
Yes.
Is taking place. Is it all of January? Is it
overlapping? The governor designated January 25th through February 25th as Student Financial Aid Awareness Month in New York State. And we designated that period because it's a time when people are completing their tax returns, which is information they need to complete one of the most important tools in receiving financial aid, the FAFSA form.
Okay. And we'll be talking a little more about that, I think, as we go along.
Yes.
So let's start with HESC because you do the state financial services for college students. And what kind of services do you do?
We are probably best known for administering the Tuition Assistance Program, or the TAP program.
I've seen that name.
Yes, which is available to New York State residents with incomes of net taxable incomes of $80,000 or less.
Now, is that family?
Family income. Yes, and awards up to $5,000 to students attending full-time at public or private institutions across New York State.
And that's a very popular program.
That is a very popular program. Mm-hmm. We also administer about 24 other scholarship and award programs and loan forgiveness programs as well. We're the state's guarantee agency for federal loans. And in total, we probably provide $4.6 billion on average to more than 650,000 students attending college in New York State.
That's a lot of money. It seems like a lot of money. It probably could be more.
Could be more, yes. Yes. But we're proud of the amount of aid that we do provide.
Now, do you folks work also with HESC, or how do you simply know of the services and try to keep up with them and help people get the money at your institutions?
Both, I think, Richard. HESC does a fantastic job, I think, about educating the financial aid community and students and families about types of financial aid that are available. We work closely with them on our student loans, on the New York State Tuition Assistance Program. We're looking forward to working with them on the New York Helps, the brand new loan program that was just available this semester. So we work very closely with them, and they also work very closely with our students, providing fantastic service.
Okay.
Right. I think I would view it as a partnership. It really is,
Yeah.
because we all have the same goal, and if we work together, then we
Yeah.
can reach more students. So.
And let's talk about that goal. Today we have so much stress on education, and rightly so. You mentioned Siena College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering.
Yes.
I have a hard time sometimes getting all that out. That requires extremely high levels of training, even for people, now extreme is probably the wrong word for everyone, but even for people who just work in like a global foundries, education is needed. But engineers are needed and all kinds of things. So in today's global economy, where everybody's saying education is a key to making our country competitive, there's a recognized need. On the other hand, we're having all of these financial news, bad news these days about the New York State budget, federal budget deficit. What are things like? What are people thinking in terms of when they want to go to college? Are they thinking there's no money? Are they thinking there is money? Are they applying? Are you seeing an effect of all that?
Oh, I think we are. I mean, I think families are anxious because of the economic climate that we're in. They're not sure how to, they know this is important, and they know this should be a priority and is a priority for many of them, but how to finance that education is what's key. And that's really our role, because it's a shared responsibility, and we need to educate our students and families and helping them learn what programs are available, how to apply for those programs. We are definitely seeing an increase in our special circumstances forms, where families are reaching out to us and saying, okay, I provided last year's income information on my FAFSA, but yet now my situation has changed dramatically. And we look at each and every one of those forms that come in and review each family's situation. So I would say we're busier as a result of what's happening,
Okay.
but we don't want families to become discouraged. We want them to realize that there are programs out there and that we're here to help.
Are you seeing similar?
We are. Our requests for special circumstances have increased, but I'm very happy to say that we've been very fortunate that we've been able to work with those families and allow them to remain at Siena continuing their education, either through additional aid from Siena or additional aid because of the change in circumstances from the federal and maybe even the state government. So I think families are stressed, but I think it's always been a stressful part of the process for them. And one of the things I like to focus on, as Diane said, is education. If we can make it easier for them, it should not be that hard. It should be easy. It's stressful enough. Let's really work with our families to make them aware, to tell them you can do this process. It is easy. It takes a little bit of time and you have to focus, but it can be done. And there is funding available out there for students to attend college.
Yeah, and if I can add that we've seen studies where up to a quarter of American families do not even complete the FAFSA application, and that is the primary tool for getting the grants, the low-interest federal loans and work-study programs. So families should complete it regardless of what your income level is, because there is, as Mary said, aid available for families.
And I would imagine that some of the people who don't complete those forms don't go to college because of that.
They may, or they may be paying more than they would have to out of pocket.
So both should be highly motivating to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely, which is one of the things that I think is great about the Financial Aid Awareness Month, kind of coming back to raise awareness in the schools and educating our school counselors so they can help us educate the students.
Right, and breaking it down into manageable parts for the families, because especially first-time families, it's overwhelming to them. You know, they're thinking, oh my goodness, I don't even know where to begin. So if we can help break that down into steps, then I think it makes it more manageable.
Now, on the one hand, I could say, well, people who are famously over $250,000 family income may not need this, but then there's so many people, most of us are well below that. And you said under 80,000 qualifies for TAP.
Yes.
But you also said there's dozens of other programs.
Yeah. There are other scholarships. HESC offers administers nearly 24 scholarships. We have veteran tuition awards, so if you are a returning veteran, in addition, the federal government this year, I believe this past August, started the post 9/11 education assistance program, which offers, tremendous support and aid for returning veterans, post 9/11 veterans. We have scholarships, Magee nursing scholarships. We have loan forgiveness programs for district attorneys, attorneys attorneys who work with indigent populations. So there are multiple sources of aid that are available for students in various fields of study as well. So if students were to go to www.hesc.org, if you click on students and families and borrowers and then applying for financial aid, they can see a full listing of the aid that's available to them in New York State.
So I guess on the one hand, a person who wants to go to college, or a family who's working with their children to pick a college and finance a college, really needs to go to that website. On the other hand, you mentioned, go ahead.
No, we do encourage strongly that you go to our website to see, if you're a New York State resident, what aid is available for you. We also link right to the FAFSA application. And one of the unique things about New York State is that from the FAFSA, if you click on the TAP application, you will have much of the application pre-populated from you if you move directly from the FAFSA, and then you're applying directly for this additional aid, the TAP awards.
So that makes it a little easier?
Yes, it does.
Sure, we encourage families to do that. Do it right then. Click on that link and fill out the TAP information.
I also think it's important for families, as they're deciding on what college, to explore that college's website, to engage with that college's financial aid office, because each financial aid office may have a specific set of things they want the families to do. And they should be informed about what is needed. And school, we want them to be able to do what they need to do, so we're really good about telling them what they need to do and when they need to do it. So HESC's website is a great resource, particularly with the New York State types of aid that's available and what to do to obtain that. And then the individual institutions, I think, you want to look there too, because there's financial aid available there. At Siena, we have over 200 endowed scholarships that have unique criteria. So students should explore.
And only Siena knows about that.
Right, because they're unique to us.
Right.
So students should explore the college's website to find out what kinds of opportunities are available at that specific institution.
Right. And the process varies slightly from institution to institution, so you want the family to make sure they're not missing deadlines, they're not missing supplemental applications that may be required. So it's very important for the family to start their research, start their homework by going to the school's website. And there will often be links that will link them then to other resources that might be available. We have a scholarship manager on our site that students can link to, and going to the HESC website so they can review and see that they may qualify for some of those scholarships that they weren't even aware of.
So this really fits in, when I say this, getting financial aid and financing your education is a vital part of the process of choosing a college. I could imagine some people getting kind of drawn up into what college you want to go to and not really feeling comfortable or not thinking about the financial part. Now, of course, you might say, well, I can't afford Siena, I can't afford Harvard, I can't afford whatever. But maybe you don't know you can't afford it until you've really...
That's absolutely right.
So how do you approach the whole problem as a parent or a student?
Well, I think from a parent's perspective, again, gathering information is important. For example, 4 out of 5 students looking at private colleges will receive some kind of financial aid from that institution. So the sticker price, the cost of attendance that you see is most often not what families pay. So knowing that first should give you some good context. The other thing that I think is important for students to recognize is that they need to work with their high school guidance offices to make sure they're looking at institutions where they're a good academic and they're a good co-curricular, extracurricular fit, that has their major, that has a social environment in which they're going to thrive. They need to visit the colleges in order to do that. So finding the fit is very important, and exploring what opportunities they have to fulfill their career goals is extremely important. And the financial pieces, they need to work through too. Exactly. But again, I think it's important to know that there's financial aid out there. 4 out of 5 students get some kind of financial aid.
So don't just assume it's too expensive or whatever.
That's exactly right. You can't make assumptions. They should apply. Look at the schools they're interested in, because as one of my colleagues said to me recently, which I think is a great way to put it, there has to be a good academic fit and a good financial fit. So you go through the process, you apply for financial aid, and then when you receive that award letter, you look at your cost, you look at less financial aid. What are we as a family going to have to pay? What is the bottom line here? So that's something that families need to recognize that they often don't think about when they're first looking at that cost of attendance and saying, oh, I'm not sure that I can afford this.
Don't even look at it to Susie or Bobby.
Right. Right. Even at a public institution where our costs are very reasonable, we're a great value, I think you look at the cost and you say, how are we ever going to do that? But it is a shared responsibility. It's something that we all need to work toward together.
It's a social responsibility, as you can see by the way we fund these things. And HESC is a New York
State agency, and also if there is a remaining cost, New York State did implement a new low-cost loan program just this year, which is an alternative to the alternative or private loan, and we offer fixed-rate low-cost loans for families who have remaining costs after applying for all other financial aid.
I can't believe I've forgotten the name of that, but
New York Helps.
Yes,
yes,
yes.
yes.
That's
The New York
pretty
hired,
easy.
yes,
Right.
yes.
I was remembering HELP, but I thought that's not just it.
Yeah.
So let's take people through this a little bit more. First of all, let's define the population maybe. You could be talking about high school, and in that case you said, don't leave out the high school guidance people. And I think what's come through to me is talk to people and find out who you should talk to as well. You have the high school people, but then you also have college students who have started, who might be going to graduate school at one of the colleges or departments at UAlbany or elsewhere. Are there any differences to approach, whether you're a high school student, an undergraduate, or moving forward?
Well, I think there is. It's slightly different in that high school students are, especially if it's their first experience, they are going to rely in a great deal on their guidance counselors, the high school guidance counselor, because they are the ones setting up the high school nights, the high school financial aid nights. They're the ones getting the students in, especially the at-risk students, where maybe they don't have a computer at home, and maybe they don't have someone at home saying, okay, now it's time to fill out the FAFSA. Those guidance counselors play a critical role there. So I think for incoming freshmen, it is different. For our continuing undergraduate students, we have a student financial center, which is the student can come in and get information on their financial aid, on their bill. To the student, it's the paying for college is all one thing. So we have a one-stop shop where students can come in and get help from A to Z with their financial aid. And if they are undergraduates thinking about applying to graduate school, they come in and then we'll help them out with information on applying to graduate school and what type of options might be available, whether they're attending UAlbany or another graduate school, and help them realize what they need to do to apply. And because it is different at every level. It's different from an incoming freshman applying for financial aid and an undergraduate who's applying to a graduate program.
And I suppose sometimes the parents would pay a lot of attention when the high school student is getting ready to go to college. And now there are trips to all the colleges, and that's nothing but that on their mind. Does anything change, though? Are there things that they could miss out? Okay, now they're in and everything's settled. Let's say they're freshmen. But what about the sophomore year, the junior year? Should they still be talking to the financial office to see if there's something new? I don't know.
We communicate with our returning students on a regular basis. We like them to focus on getting the financial aid done at the beginning of the year, and then they really don't have to think about it again until the end of the year. Okay. They really need to focus on their academic studies and their co-curricular and extracurricular activities. So what we do is we have a communication plan that we get in touch with students at the right time. Around tax time, we send a letter home to families saying, okay, now you need to file your FAFSA for next year because if you want a financial aid, you need to do that. And then we take them through the process. It's a little bit later than the incoming freshman students because of the timing when freshmen have to make their decision. So the timing is a little bit different, but they do have to file every year. And again, I think the schools, and there's some comfort level because then you know your school's process. And absolutely, right. The other thing I always encourage returning students is if something changes in your family financial circumstances, don't assume it's status quo. Communicate the changes with us, talk to us so we can try to help you make it work to continue your education.
So it's really important that student and parent understand the parameters, not just fill out the form. You mentioned FAFSA.
The FAFSA.
Several times. Maybe we should talk more about that as a particular form. That must be a basic form.
It is. It's the federal government's form. It's called the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And the website for that is www.fafsa.gov. And students can get a lot of information and actually file online at that website. The form is 7 steps. That's what I always say. It's 7 steps. The vast majority of the questions, students and parents know the answers to right off the top of their head. Name, address, date of birth. Pretty basic. And then there's a section of questions that relate to family finances.
and we encourage that they complete this online. There is
Yes.
the paper application available, but I believe 95% or more of families do complete it online. You get assistance as you're completing it online. It skips automatically to the next question that you need to complete when you complete it online. So it eases the burden that people would feel that completing a form like that would take if you do it online.
Now, perhaps if we tell them more about what's in there, they can bring documents and have it maybe at hand so that they don't go through this and then have kind of an emotional reaction that they don't know or they don't have the information.
Yeah.
Or any issues there?
Well, for the Financial Aid Awareness Month, we will be asking people to pre-register at hands-on events to help them complete the FAFSA, and we will have a checklist of items that you need to bring with you. We're also trying to, early on, at least highlight areas where people can go to get tax preparation assistance so that they can come in later in the month when we do the hands-on FAFSA completion events throughout the state. So beginning January 22nd, information will be available on our starthere.getthere.org website that viewers can go to and see when events are taking place in their area.
Now, we'll be running this show throughout that whole month. So some events will have taken place and some will still be in the future.
Yes.
Anything you wanted to point out going ahead, major things that people might want to think about? Also to give them an idea of what kind of programs you'll be doing.
We will be offering mentoring, hands-on mentoring and coaching, where we have to thank our financial aid administrators because they will be the ones volunteering at many of these events, so we do appreciate that. We have financial aid officers who will be mentoring students who don't complete the FAFSA at the time of a given event in their area, but they will be staying in touch with them over the days and weeks following to make sure that they do complete the application in the time frame that they need to. We will also be, we're very pleased that CEFCU will be partnering with us. We will be at local YMCAs in the Capital District and as well as across the state. We have Intuit, who has agreed graciously to provide their TurboTax software for us. And when students and families come in and complete their tax returns using the TurboTax software, that will also pre-populate the FAFSA application for them. So we find that this will be an easy way for families to complete the FAFSA and hopefully increase the completion rates among families in the state.
Do you think people would feel uneasy linking their income tax preparation to the FAFSA form, or are you finding that they're receptive to that?
This will be our first year doing this. Again, we have just reinstituted Student Financial Aid Awareness Month this year after a hiatus. But we at HESC became knowledgeable about the fact that FAFSA has this tool and that it's something that families may not be aware of, but it is an easy way, a one-step approach to completing your tax return and getting the FAFSA completed so that you can get the aid that you need to help your
Now,
students.
is there a
pay for
charge
college.
for the TurboTax?
The federal tax form is free, and there's typically a charge for the state software. However, TurboTax Intuit has agreed that they will make available for a discounted price the software from HESC's website.
And the federal form, is that enough to do the FAFSA form? If you did your federal tax through that,
Yes.
that would be enough to populate
That would
the
be
entire
enough
thing.
to populate the FAFSA, but again, we encourage students to then complete the TAP application, and there you need your state income tax information.
And the early filers may have taxes done, but there are many families that won't have their taxes done. So the FAFSA does allow families to estimate their financial information. SUNY is sponsoring 2 statewide SUNY Financial Aid Days, and what we do is we bring students to campus. It's across the state. We have 2 days, January 23rd and February 27th.
So that
this year.
gives them a broad range.
Yes, and so families can register for that at suny.edu/student events. And what we do, for example, at Albany, we will bring families in that are applying to all different types of schools. We bring them into our campus, into our digital workshop where they can sit down at a computer and have financial aid advisors walking around and answering any questions that they might have. And it's just especially for those first-time filers that are anxious about filling out the form. Am I going to get stuck? What do I do? We're right there to help them. So, and again, those are offered throughout the state of New York on 2 days. So January 23rd to February 27th. So if anyone would like assistance, that's,
I also think that it's good for families to go onto the FAFSA.gov website, because there's worksheets available that will help you collect the information that you need. You need your federal tax returns, you need your W-2s, you need some information about current value of your assets, and it helps you define what those assets are and what they are not. So I recommend that families go before they file to the website, print off the FAFSA on the web worksheets, and take a look at them and read through them. That provides them very good guidance on what they need to do and what they need to have to actually complete the filing. The other thing I think is important to note is that if families are uncomfortable with the TurboTax and linking all that right together, you don't have to do that.
Right.
That's a great opportunity HESC is providing to allow for a really seamless process and a very easy filing approach. 2 birds with 1 stone, right? 3 birds with 1 stone, really, with applying for tax. But you don't have to do that. You can certainly bring paper copies of your tax returns and your W-2s and complete the form as well. I'm sure we'll be supporting that as well.
Right. I think more and more people are moving towards electronic filing, and of course that will, in the long run, be less expensive and probably cut down a few mistakes.
Absolutely.
Right, as Elsa said, it is better really for them to file online, because there are edits that are built into the system. It will there's skip logic, so if they don't have to fill out a section, it'll take them to another section. If they left something blank, it'll take them right back to that field. It's highlighted in red. And there's a huge emphasis on simplifying the FAFSA right now at the federal level. So I think it's going to get easier and easier.
Yes.
Now, should we talk about TAP a little bit?
Certainly, yes.
Tuition Assistance Program.
Yes, it's a tuition.
Very basic name.
It's a very basic name, New York State Tuition Assistance Program. The program is available again for New York State residents, students attending New York State colleges on a full-time basis, meaning 12 credits or more. The aid is available for up to 10 semesters. For undergraduate study, and then there is also a lower amount available for graduate study as well. The state has made it so that if a student has a second 2 family members in school or more, adjustments are made to their award to accommodate for the fact that the family is paying for college expenses for 2 students in the family. Generally, the award is a maximum of $5,000 for students who are dependent on their parents, and then the awards are different for independent students. So,
is there any provision, and I guess, of course, the library is a provision, but for the few people almost today who don't have computers or who don't feel comfortable with computers, you mentioned that you don't really have to do it online. Could you take that kind of person through the process? Where do they get the form?
Sure. I think that if you're going to file on paper, which, again, I really strongly recommend you look to your high school guidance office for access to computers. You look to your local libraries for access to computers to actually complete the process, because it will be processed faster. There are hits and temps and all the reasons Diane said that you should do it electronically. However, if you really want to do it on paper, you can go to the FAFSA website. You can get a paper form. High school guidance offices should eventually get some, and college financial aid offices should eventually get some, although I don't have any yet.
We don't have any yet.
Right. So the federal government is really encouraging families to file electronically for all the reasons we've already said.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
We're just about out of time. I'm sure I left out something. Anything that you'd like to say that maybe would add to people's comfort in applying or get them started?
Well, I'll start just by saying again that reiterating that nearly every family is, regardless of income or other circumstances, is eligible for some type of aid. And we know that a college education is the best vehicle to a good future. So we really encourage people to reach out to, whether it's your high school guidance counselor, school financial aid officer, or go again to www.hesc.org and HESC.org and click on students, borrowers, families, and in applying for financial aid. There will be, you can contact us. There will be links to email us and 1-800 numbers to call us directly if you have any questions. But we strongly encourage everyone to apply for aid regardless of whether they think they're eligible or not.
Right. I mean, you really hit it there. We want families to apply, and I think to summarize, they need to do their research. Then they need to apply by the deadlines, which is extremely important. Each college may
let's
have
go
their own
back over
deadline.
those.
Okay.
How do they know the deadlines?
Colleges' websites.
Okay.
That's the best resource because
Okay.
colleges will have different priority filing dates for priority consideration of financial aid. So you want to make sure you meet those dates.
And that's something you need to know as soon as possible.
Right. And they can do that research now, even though they may not know. They don't know where they're going to go to school, but they have an idea of where they're interested in
And their
looking.
time.
So go, and you can do that from the comfort of your living room. Go onto the website and get that information. And then when you're at the point when you get that financial aid award letter, look at, okay, this is my cost, less financial aid, so this is what it looks like we're going to have to come up with. And if you have any questions, financial aid community is there to help.
Beautiful.
Use the resources. It's what we've all been saying. Use the Higher Education Services Corporation website. Use your college financial aid offices that you're applying to. Use your guidance staff. They're very willing to help. So use the resources available and become informed on these things. It's not something that the resources are available and the information is available, and then you can make an informed financial decision.
And I've learned that it's truly a part of the process. It's got to be part of it, and everybody should be doing it.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
Right.
Well, I want to thank you very much. This was very interesting to me.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Richard.
for your time. We appreciate it.
Great, and good luck.
For helping us get the message out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. Thank you.
And I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show, that you tune in again next time, and that you have a great week. Take care.
Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.